I wasn't supposed to be at the New Year's party. That's what my stepbrother Derek made very clear the moment I walked through the door of the penthouse. His penthouse. The one our parents bought him when he graduated from business school while I got a used Honda Civic for finishing my nursing degree. What are you doing here? Derek blocked my path, his face twisted in disgust. Behind him, the party was already in full swing. Champagne flowing. Designer dresses. Manhattan's elite counting down to midnight in a glass tower overlooking Times Square. Mom invited me, I said quietly, holding up my phone to show him her text. She said the whole family would be here. The family is here. He gestured to the crowd behind him. But you're not really family, are you, Emma? You're the charity case Mom and Dad took in when your junkie mother overdosed. The words hit like a physical blow. I'd been 12 when my mother died. 12 when Derek's parents, my stepfather and his wife, had taken me in. 12 when I became the unwanted addition to their perfect nuclear family. Derek, please. I just want to see Mom and Dad. Say Happy New Year. I'll leave right after midnight. No, he crossed his arms. This party is for successful people. Entrepreneurs. Executives. People who matter. Not some minimum wage nurse who can barely afford rent in Queens. I'm an ICU nurse, I said, hating how small my voice sounded. I save lives. You empty bedpans and take orders from doctors. He smirked. Look around, Emma. Everyone here is wearing outfits that cost more than your monthly salary. You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing us. I looked down at my dress. I'd bought it specifically for tonight. Navy blue. Simple but elegant. Or so I'd thought. Now, surrounded by women in couture and dripping with jewelry, I felt like a child playing dress-up. Where are Mom and Dad? I asked. They left for Aspen this morning. Didn't they tell you? Derek's smile was cruel. Oh, that's right. They probably forgot you existed. That happens a lot, doesn't it? My throat tightened. They'd invited me to this party knowing they wouldn't even be here. Knowing I'd show up to a room full of Derek's friends. Knowing exactly what would happen. You need to leave, Derek said. Now. Before I have security escort you out. Derek, come on. It's New Year's Eve. Can't we just? Security. He raised his hand, and two large men in black suits started moving through the crowd toward us. That's when I felt it. A hand on my elbow. Gentle but firm. A voice behind me, smooth and commanding. There you are, darling. I've been looking everywhere for you. I turned to see a man I'd never met in my life. Tall, maybe mid-30s, wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than my car. Dark hair, sharp jawline, intense gray eyes that were currently fixed on Derek with an expression of mild annoyance. I'm sorry, the stranger said to Derek, though his tone suggested he wasn't sorry at all. Is there a problem? Derek's face had gone pale. He was staring at the stranger like he'd seen a ghost. Or a celebrity. Or both. Mr. Blackwood, Derek stammered. I didn't know you were coming. I mean, I sent you an invitation, of course, but I didn't think. You didn't think I'd accept. The stranger Blackwood smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Yet here I am. And I seem to have arrived just in time to hear you insulting my date. Your date. Derek's eyes darted between me and this Blackwood person. Emma is your date? Is that a problem? Blackwood's voice dropped several degrees. The security guards had stopped moving. In fact, the entire area around us had gone quiet. People were watching now. No problem at all. Derek's face had turned red. I just didn't realize Emma knew you. She never mentioned. Perhaps that's because Emma has class. Blackwood's hand moved from my elbow to the small of my back. Unlike some people who judge others by their bank accounts rather than their character. I stood frozen, my mind racing. Who is this man? Why was Derek acting like he'd just insulted royalty? And why was this stranger lying about being my date? Mr. Blackwood, I apologize if there was any misunderstanding, Derek said quickly. Emma is absolutely welcome here. I was just surprised to see her, that's all. Please, come in. Let me get you both some champagne. How generous. Blackwood's tone made it clear he found nothing generous about Derek's sudden hospitality. But I think we'll skip the champagne. Emma, shall we? He guided me past Derek, through the crowd of gawking guests, toward the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. I could feel every eye in the room following us. Whispers erupted in our wake. When we were finally alone in a quiet corner, I turned to face him. Who are you? I whispered. Alexander Blackwood. He extended his hand. And you're Emma. I caught your name during that charming exchange with your stepbrother. Why did you do that? Why did you say I was your date? Because that entitled little snake was about to have you thrown out of a party you had every right to attend. He studied my face. I have a low tolerance for bullies, especially ones who mistreat women. But Derek clearly knows you. He's terrified of you. Who are you? Alexander smiled slightly. I run Blackwood Industries. We're a private equity firm. Your stepbrother has been trying to get a meeting with me for 6 months. He wants investment capital for some tech startup he's involved with. And you just happened to be at his party? I wasn't going to come. I generally avoid social events thrown by desperate social climbers. But I was in the neighborhood, and I was curious to see what kind of person sends 12 follow-up emails after an initial rejection. He glanced across the room at Derek, who was watching us with barely concealed anxiety. Now I know. I should have walked away. Thanked this stranger for his help and left before things got more complicated. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way Derek kept staring at us with fear in his eyes. Maybe it was 3 years of accumulated humiliation finally reaching a breaking point. How much is his startup worth? I asked. Alexander raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? Derek's tech company. The one he wants you to invest in. How much does he think it's worth? According to his pitch deck, about $50 million. He's looking for a $10 million investment for a 20% stake. And what do you think it's actually worth? Alexander's smile grew. Maybe $2 million. Generous estimate. His business model is fundamentally flawed. He's burning through capital with no clear path to profitability. It'll be bankrupt within 2 years. But he doesn't know you think that. No. He thinks I'm still considering it. I looked across the room at Derek, who was now surrounded by his friends, gesturing animatedly, probably bragging about having Alexander Blackwood at his party. Can I ask you for a favor? I said. That depends on the favor. Let me be your date. For real. For tonight. Let everyone here think we're together. Alexander studied me for a long moment. You want revenge. I want him to feel what I've felt. Just for one night. I want him to realize he made a mistake treating me like I'm worthless. And after tonight? After tonight, you never have to see me again. You can go back to your life, and I'll go back to mine. But right now, just for a few hours, I want to not be the charity case. I want to be the girl who walked in with Alexander Blackwood. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd refuse. Then he extended his arm. Well then, Emma. Shall we make this interesting? For the next 3 hours, Alexander Blackwood played the role of devoted boyfriend with an expertise that should have won awards. He kept his hand on my waist, whispered in my ear, laughed at my nervous jokes, introduced me to other guests as the brilliant nurse who saves lives while the rest of us just shuffle money around. Derek watched it all with increasing agitation. He kept trying to approach us, to pull Alexander aside for a private conversation about his business proposal. Each time, Alexander deflected smoothly, keeping me close, making it clear his attention was focused entirely on me. Your stepbrother is about to have an aneurysm, Alexander murmured in my ear as Derek made his 4th approach of the evening. I think he's realizing that being rude to my girlfriend might have consequences for his investment prospects. I'm not really your girlfriend, I whispered back. He doesn't know that. Alexander's hand tightened slightly on my waist. And the beauty of perception is that it becomes reality. Right now, everyone in this room believes you're with me. Which means everyone in this room is reevaluating their assumptions about you. He was right. People who'd walked past me earlier without a glance were now introducing themselves, asking about my work, complimenting my dress. One woman even asked where I'd bought it, as if my simple navy dress was suddenly fashionable because Alexander Blackwood's date wore it. At 11:45, Derek finally cornered us near the champagne fountain. "Mr. Blackwood, I was hoping we could discuss the investment opportunity," he said, his voice tight with forced friendliness. "I know you've had questions about our projections, and I'd love to address." "Actually, Derek, I've made my decision." Alexander's tone was pleasant, but there was steel underneath. "I won't be investing in your company." Derek's face went slack. "What?" "But I thought." "You thought wrong. Your business model is unsustainable. Your burn rate is astronomical. And frankly, after seeing how you treat people you consider beneath you, I have serious concerns about your character and judgment." "This is about Emma?" Derek's voice rose. Several nearby guests turned to look. "You're rejecting a $10 million deal because I didn't want her at my party?" "I'm rejecting a bad investment. But yes, your treatment of Emma certainly reinforced my decision. I've built my career on identifying valuable assets that others overlook. Emma is an ICU nurse. She holds people's lives in her hands every day. She makes life-or-death decisions. She provides comfort to the dying and hope to the suffering. And you treated her like garbage because she doesn't have a trust fund." The party had gone silent now. Everyone was watching. Derek's friends, his business associates, the society people he'd been trying to impress all night. "That tells me everything I need to know about your judgment," Alexander continued. "People like you see value only in dollar signs. You miss what actually matters. That's why your company will fail, Derek. Not because of your business model, though that's certainly flawed, but because you fundamentally misunderstand value." Derek's face had gone from white to crimson. "You don't know what you're talking about. Emma is nothing. She's nobody. She's worth 10 of you." Alexander's voice cut like a blade. "And if you can't see that, you're even more foolish than your pitch deck suggested." He turned to me. "I think we've celebrated enough for one evening. Would you like to leave?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. As we walked toward the elevator, the crowd parted. No one spoke. Derek stood frozen by the champagne fountain, his face a mask of humiliation and rage. In the elevator, as the doors closed on the silent party, I finally found my voice. "You didn't have to do that. Destroy his investment deal. That's a lot of money. It was never going to happen anyway. His company is a sinking ship. I just moved up the timeline for telling him the truth. But you did it because of me. Because of how he treated me." Alexander looked at me. "I did it because he deserved it. And because you didn't deserve what he said to you. You don't even know me." "I know enough. I know you work in an ICU, which means you've chosen one of the hardest, most emotionally demanding careers possible. I know you showed up tonight even though you knew you'd be uncomfortable, because your mother invited you and you didn't want to disappoint her. I know you have more grace under pressure than most CEOs I've met. That's enough." The elevator reached the ground floor. The lobby was crowded with people coming and going, everyone dressed for New Year's celebrations. Times Square was 10 blocks away, probably packed with 1 million people waiting for the ball to drop. "It's 11:55, Alexander said, checking his watch. "You have 5 minutes to decide how you want to start your new year. You can go home to Queens and try to forget this night happened. Or you can come with me." "Come with you where?" "I have a table reserved at the Crown. Best view of the fireworks in the city. Champagne that actually tastes good, not the swill your stepbrother was serving. And the chance to ring in the new year somewhere you're actually wanted." I should have said no. Should have thanked him for his help and gone home. This wasn't real. This was a stranger playing a role, and in the morning, we'd both go back to our separate lives. But it was New Year's Eve. And for once in my life, I didn't want to be practical. "Okay," I said. "Let's go." The Crown was everything Alexander had promised. A rooftop restaurant with panoramic views of Manhattan. We reached our table just as the countdown began. The entire city stretched below us, a sea of lights and possibilities. 10, 9, 8. Alexander handed me a glass of champagne. Our eyes met. 7, 6, 5. Thank you, I said. For tonight. For everything. 4, 3, 2. Happy New Year, Emma. 1. Happy New Year. Fireworks exploded across the sky. The city erupted in celebration. And in that moment, standing on a rooftop with a stranger who defended me when no one else would, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. We talked for hours after that. About everything and nothing. He told me about building his company from nothing, about the pressure of managing billions in assets, about the loneliness of success. I told him about nursing, about holding someone's hand as they took their last breath, about the impossible choice between emotional survival and emotional burnout. At 3 in the morning, he insisted on driving me home. His driver took us through empty streets to my tiny apartment in Queens. This is me, I said, suddenly embarrassed by the peeling paint and the broken buzzer. It's perfect, Alexander said. And somehow, the way he said it, I believed he meant it. Will I see you again? I asked, knowing I shouldn't, knowing this wasn't real. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. I did. I'll call you, he said. If you want me to. I want you to. He smiled. Then I will. Happy New Year, Emma. Thank you for the most interesting evening I've had in years. I floated up to my apartment, still wearing my navy blue dress, still feeling the ghost of his hand on my waist. He called the next day. And the day after that. And the day after that. 3 months later, we were sitting in his apartment, a penthouse that made Derek's look like a college dorm, when he asked me to move in. It's too fast, I protested. We're both adults. We both know what we want. Life's too short to waste time pretending otherwise. 6 months after that, he proposed. On the roof of the Crown, where we'd watched the fireworks together. I said yes. Derek sent a congratulations card. Inside, he'd written a single sentence, "I'm sorry for how I treated you." I never responded. Some apologies come too late to matter. My wedding day was everything I'd never let myself dream of. Small, intimate, just close friends and Alexander's family. My step-parents came, looking uncomfortable and out of place. They congratulated me stiffly, clearly unsure how their charity case had ended up marrying one of the richest men in New York. At the reception, Alexander pulled me onto the dance floor. Happy? He asked. Terrified, I admitted. This doesn't feel real. None of it feels real. It's real. We're real. That night at Derek's party, that was the best accident of my life. It wasn't an accident. You chose to help me. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. Because the moment I saw you standing there, refusing to back down despite being clearly outnumbered and outmatched, I knew you were someone special. Someone worth knowing. Someone worth fighting for. He kissed me while our guests applauded. A year later, we established the Emma Blackwood Foundation. Scholarships for nursing students from low-income families. Grants for nurses pursuing advanced degrees. Support programs for healthcare workers dealing with trauma and burnout. Derek's company went bankrupt, exactly as Alexander had predicted. Last I heard, he was working as a middle manager somewhere in New Jersey. I don't take pleasure in his failure. But I don't mourn it either. That New Year's Eve party changed everything. The night they tried to kick me out. The night a stranger intervened. The night I learned that sometimes the people who see your worth aren't the ones who've known you longest, but the ones who recognize quality when they see it. I still work as a nurse. 3 days a week in the ICU. Alexander never asked me to quit. He understands that my work isn't just a job. It's who I am. And every New Year's Eve, we go back to the Crown. We drink champagne. We watch the fireworks. We remember the night we met. The night everything changed. The night I stopped being the charity case and became the woman who was worth fighting for.